Where are Ella,
Kate, Mag,
Lizzie,
and Edith,
the tender heart,
the simple
the
soul,
loud, proud,
the happy one,
all
all
are sleeping on the hill.
the hill.
the hill.
One died in shameful childbirth.
One with thwarted love.
One at the hands of a brute in a brothel.
One of a broken pride in the search for heart's desire.
One, after life in faraway London and Paris, was brought to her little space by Ella and Kate and Mag.
All are sleeping on the hill.
Where are Uncle
Where?
Isaac and Aunt
An
Mary?
old townie
Where?
Kincaid,
7
and
human.
Major Walker, who had talked with venerable men of the Revolution.
All sons are sleeping on the hill.
They brought them dead sons
Dead sons
Crying.
from the war.
daughters
Whom life had crushed.
and their children
children
fatherless, crying.
Where are Ella,
Kate,
Mag, Lizzie,
And Edith,
the tender heart,
the simple soul,
the loud, proud,
the happy one,
all
all
are sleeping on the hill.
the hill.
the hill.
Have you seen walking through the village a man with downcast eyes and haggard face? That is my husband, who by secret cruelty never to be told robbed me of my youth and of my beauty. Till at last, wrinkled, with yellow teeth and with broken pride and shameful humility, sank into the grave. But what think you gnaws at my husband's heart? The face of what I was, the face of what he made me. These are driving him to the place where I lie. In death, therefore, I am avenged.
She took my strength by minutes. She took my life by hours. She drained me like a fevered moon. The saps that spinning the days went by like shadows. The minutes wheeled like stars. She took the pity from my heart, made it into smiles. She was a hunk of sculptor's clay. My secret thoughts were fingers. They flew behind her pensive brow and lined in deep with pain. They set the lips. They sagged the cheeks. They drooped the eye with sorrow. My soul has entered the clay, fighting like 7 devils. She held it, but it struggles. Modeled a face she hated, and a face I feared to see. I beat the windows, I shook the bolts, I hid me in a corner. And then she died and haunted me and hunted me for life.
My life's blossom might have bloomed on all sides, save for a bitter wind which stunted my petals on the side of me which you in the village could see. From the dust, I lift a voice of protest. My flowering side, you never saw. Ye living ones, ye are fools indeed, who do not know the ways of the wind and the unseen forces that govern the processes of life.
Well, Emily Sparks, your prayers were not wasted. Your love was not all in vain. I owe whatever I was in life to your hope that would not give me up, to your love that saw me still as good. Dear Emily Sparks, let me tell you the story. I passed the effect of my father and mother. The milliner's daughter made me trouble, and now I went into the world, where I passed through every pearl known of wine and woman and joy of life. One night in a room, in the Rue de Rivoli, I was drinking wine with a black-eyed coquette, and the tears swam into my eyes. She thought they were amorous tears and smiled, for the thought of her conquest over me, but my soul was 3,000 miles away in the days when you taught me of Spoon River. And just because no more could love me, nor pray for me, nor write me letters, the eternal silence of you spoke instead, and the black-eyed coquette took the tears for hers, as well as the deceiving kisses I gave her, and somehow, from that hour, I had a new vision. Dear Emily Sparks.
Where's my boy? My boy? In what far part of the world? The boy I loved best of all in the school. I, the teacher, the old maid, the virgin heart, made them all my children. I know my boy aright, thinking of him as a spirit aflame, active, ever aspiring. Oh boy, boy for whom I prayed and prayed in many a watchful hour at night. Do you remember the letter I wrote to you of the beautiful love of Christ? And whether you ever took it or not, my boy, work for your soul's sake, that all the clay of you, all the dross of you may yield to the fire of you. For the fire is nothing but light, nothing but light, nothing but light.
I am Minerva, village poetess, hooted at, jeered at by the yahoos of the street for my heavy-body cock-eye and rolling walk. And all the more when Butch Wedley captured me after a brutal hunt, he left me to my fate with Dr. Myers, and there I sank into death, growing numb from the feet up, like one stepping deeper and deeper and deeper into a stream of ice. Will someone go to the village newspaper and gather into a book the verses I wrote? I hungered so for love. I thirsted so for life.
You would not believe, would you, that I came from good Welsh stock, that I was purer-blooded than the white trash here, and of more direct lineage than the New Englanders and Virginians of Spoon River? You would not believe that I had been to school and read some books. You saw me only as a rundown man with matted hair and beard and Sometimes a man's life turns into a cancer, from being bruised and continually bruised, and swells into a purplish mass, like grows on stalks of corn. Here was I, a carpenter, mired in a bog of life, into which I walked, thinking it was a meadow, with a slattern for a wife, and poor Minerva, my daughter, who you tormented and drove to death. So I crept, like a snail through the days of my life. No more you hear my footsteps in the morning, resounding on the hollow sidewalk, going to the grocery store for a little bit of cornmeal and a nickel's worth of bacon.
Ran away to the war the day before Curl Trinary swore out a warrant through Justice Arnett for stealing hogs. But that's not the reason he turned a soldier. He caught me running with Lucius Atherton. We quarreled, and I told him never again to cross my path. Then he stole the hogs and went to war. Back of every soldier is a woman.
Opera House in the Village to Broadway is a great step, but I tried to take it. My ambition fired when 16 years of age, seeing East Lynne played here in the Village by Ralph Barrett, becoming a romantic actor who enthralled my soul. True, I trailed back home, a broken failure when Ralph disappeared in New York, leaving me alone in the city. But life broke him also. All in this place of silence, there are no kindred spirits. How I wish Duzay could stand in the epitaphs of these quiet fields and read these words.
I was not beloved of the villagers, but all because I spoke my mind, and met those who transgressed against me with plain remonstrance, hiding nor nurturing, nor secret griefs, nor grudges. That act of the Spartan boy is greatly praised, who hid the wolf under his cloak, letting it devour him uncomplainingly. It is braver, I think, to snatch the wolf forth and fight him openly, even in the street, amidst the dust and howls of pain. The tongue may be an unruly member, but silence poisons the soul. Berate me who will, I am content.
I would have been as great as George Eliot, but for an untoward fate. For look at the photograph of me made by Penguin. Chin resting on hand, deep-set eyes, gray too and far-searching. But there was the old problem. Should it be celibacy, matrimony, or unchastity? Then John Slack, the rich druggist, wooed me, luring the promise of leisure for my novel, and I married him, giving birth to 8 children and had no time to write. It was all over with me anyway when I ran the needle of my hand while washing the baby's things and died of lockjaw. an ironical death. Hear me, ambitious souls. Sex is the curse of life.
Herbert broke our engagement of 8 years when Annabelle returned to the village from the seminary. Oh, me. If I had let my love for him alone, it might have grown into a beautiful sorrow. Who knows, filling my life with healing fragrance. But I tortured it. I poisoned it. I blinded its eyes, and it became hatred, deadly ivy, instead of clematis, and my soul fell from its support, its tendrils tangled in decay. Do not let the will play gardener to your soul, unless you're sure it's wiser than your soul's nature.
All your sorrow, Louise, and hatred of me, sprang from your delusion that it was wantonness in spirit, and contempt of your soul's rights, which made me turn to Annabelle and forsake you. You really grew to hate me for love of me, because I was your soul's happiness, formed and tempered to solve your life for you, and would not. You were my misery. If you had been my happiness, would I not have come to you? This is life's sorrow, that one can be happy only where two are, and that our hearts are drawn to stars, which one is not.
There's something about death, like love itself.
With someone with whom you have known passion and the glow of youthful love, you also, after years of life together,
Feel the sinking of the fire and thus fade away together.
Gradually,
Faintly,
delicately,
as it were in each other's arms.
passing from the familiar rooms.
That is the power of unison between souls, like love itself.
Well, don't you see this was the way of it? We bought the farm with what he inherited, and his brothers and sisters accused him of poisoning his father's mind against the rest of them. And we never had any peace with our treasure. The murrain took the cattle, and the crops failed, and lightning struck the granary, so we mortgaged the farm to keep going. And he grew silent, and was worried all the time. Then some of the neighbors refused to speak to us and took sides with his brothers and sisters, as some may say at an earlier time in life. No matter, so and so is my friend, or I can shake this off with a little trip to Decatur. But the dreadfulest smells infested the room, so I set fire to the bed, and the old witch house went up in a roar of flames as I danced in the yard with a waving arm while he wept like a freezing steel.
pine tree makes a symphony thereof. Treelets, villanelles, rondelles, rondos, ballads by the score, the same old thought. The snows and roses of yesterday are vanished. Yet what is love but a rose that fades? Life all around me here in the village. Tragedy, comedy, valor and truth. Courage, constancy, heroism and failure. All in the moon. And oh, what patterns! Woodlands, meadows, streams and rivers. Mine to all of it, all my life long. Treelets, villanelles, rondos, seeds in a dry pod. Tick, 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 tick. What little iambics, while Homer and Whitman roar in the pines.
Reverend Wiley advised me not to divorce him for the sake of the children, and Judge Somers advised him the same. So we stuck to the end of the path. But 2 of the children thought he was right, and 2 of the children thought I was right. And the 2 that sided with me blamed him, and the 2 that sided with him blamed me, and each grieved for the one they sided with. And all were torn with the guilt of judging, and tortured in soul, because they could not admire equally him and me. Now every gardener knows that plants grown in cellars or under rocks are twisted and yellow and weak, and no mother would let her baby suck diseased milk from her breast. Yet preachers and judges advise the raising of souls where there is no sunlight, only twilight. No warmth, just dampness and cold. Preachers and judges!
To this generation, I would say, memorize some bit of verse of truth or beauty. It may serve a turn in your life. My husband had nothing to do with the fall of the bank. He was only cashier. The wreck was due to the president, Thomas Rhodes, and his vain, unscrupulous son. Yet my husband was sent to prison, and I was left with the children to feed and clothe and school them. Dad did it, and sent them forth into the world all clean and strong, and all through the wisdom of Pope the poet. Act well your part. There all the honor lies.
Rich, honored by my fellow citizens, the father of many children, born of a noble mother, all raised there in the great mansion house at the edge of town. Note the cedar tree on the lawn. I sent all the boys to Ann Arbor, all the girls to Rockford. The while my life went on, gaining more riches and honors, resting under my cedar tree at evening. I sent the girls to Europe, I dowered them when married. I gave the boys money to start in business. They were strong children, promising their parents hours before the big places shut. But John fled the country in disgrace. Jenny died in childbirth. I sat under my tree. Harry killed himself after debauch. Susan was divorced. I sat under my tree. Paul was invalided from overstudy. Mary became a recluse at home for love of a man. I sat under my cedar tree. All were gone on, broken-winged or devoured by life. I sat under my cedar tree. My mate, the mother of them, was taken. I sat under my cedar tree. Till 90 years were told. O eternal earth, which rocks the fallen leaf to sleep.
Passerby, to love is to find your own soul through the soul of the loved one. When the beloved one withdraws itself from your soul, then you have lost your soul. It is written, I have a friend, my sorrow has no friend. Hence my long years of solitude at home of my father, trying to get myself back, to turn my sorrow into a supremer self. There was my father, sorrows, sitting under the cedar tree, a picture that sank in my heart at last. Infinite hopes. Only souls breathe like fragrance, and white as tuberoses from earth's dark soil. Eternal peace.
I was a peasant girl from Germany. Blue-eyed, rosy, happy and strong. And the first place I worked was at Thomas Green's. On a summer's day, when she was away, he stole into the kitchen, took me in his arms, and kissed me on the throat. I turned my head. Then neither of us seemed to know what had happened. And I cried for what would become of me. And cried as my secret began to show. One day, Mrs. Green said she understood and would make no trouble for me in being childless or adopted. He had given her a farm to be still. So, she hid in the house and sent out rumors as if it were going to happen to her. And all went well, and the child was born. They were so kind to me. Later, I married Gus Vertman, and years passed. But at political rallies, when sitters-by thought I was crying at the eloquence of Hamilton Green, no, that was not it. No, I wanted to say, that's my son! That's my son!
I was the only child of Francis Harrison, Virginia, Thomas Green of Kentucky, a valiant and honorable blood. To them, I owe all that I became: judge, member of Congress, leader in the state. From my mother, I inherited vivacity, fancy, language. From my father, judgment, will, logic. All honor to them for what service I was to the people.
I was the widow McFarlane, weaver of carpets for all the village. And I pity you still at the loom of life, you who were singing to the shuttle and lovingly watching the work of your hands. If you read today of hate, terrible truth. The cloth of life is woven, you know, to a pattern hidden under the loom, a pattern you never see. And you weave high-hearted, singing, singing. You guard the threads of love and friendship for noble figures in gold and purple. And long after other eyes can see, you have woven a moon-white strip of cloth. And you laugh in your strength, for hope relays it with shapes of love and beauty. The loom stops short, patterns out. You are alone in the room. You have woven a shroud, and hate of it lays you in it.
She loved me. Oh, how she loved me. I never had a chance to escape from the day she first saw me. And yet, after we were married, I thought she might prove her mortality and let me out. Or she might divorce me. But few died. None resigned. So I ran away and was gone a year on the lark. But she never complained. She said all would be well, that I would return, and I did return. I told her that while taking a row on a boat, I'd been captured near Von Buren Street by pirates on Lake Michigan and kept in chains so I could not write to her. She cried and kissed me and said it was cruel, outrageous, inhuman. I then concluded our marriage was a divine dispensation and cannot be dissolved, except by death. I was right.
He ran away and was gone for a year. When he came home, he told me this silly story of being kidnapped by pirates on Lake Michigan and kept in chains so he could not write me. I pretended to believe it, for I knew very well what he was doing, and that he would meet the milliner, Mrs. Williams, now and then, when she went to the city to buy goods, she said. But a promise is a promise. And marriage is marriage. And out of respect for my own character, I refuse to be drawn into a divorce by the scheme of a husband who had merely grown tired of his marital vow and duty.
Mr. Kessler, you know, was in the army, and he drew $6 a month as a pension. And then he stood on the corner talking politics, or sat at home reading Grant's memoirs. I supported the family by washing, learning the secrets of all the people through their curtains, counterpanes, shirts, and skirts. For things that are new grow old at length. They're replaced with better, or none at all. People are prospering, or falling back. Rents and patches widen with time, and no needle or thread can paste decay. There are stains that baffle soap, and there are colors that run in spite of you, blamed though you are for spoiling a dress. Handkerchiefs, napery, have their secrets. The laundress, life, knows all about it. And I, who went to every funeral held in Spoon River, swear I never saw a dead face without thinking it looked like something washed and ironed.
I was the daughter of Lambert Hutchins, born in a cottage near the grist mill, reared there in the mansion on the hill, with its spires, bay windows, and roof of slate. How proud my mother was of the mansion, how proud of father's rise in the world, and how he loved and watched us and guarded our happiness. But I believed the house was a curse, for father's fortune was little beside it. When my husband found out he'd married a girl who was poor, he taunted me with its spires, calling the house a fraud on the world, a treacherous lure to young men, raising hopes of a dowry not to be had, and a man, while selling his vote, should get enough from the family's betrayal to wall the whole of his family in. Vexed my life, till I went back home and lived like an old maid till I died, keeping house for father.
My name used to be in the papers daily, as having dined somewhere, or traveled somewhere, or rented a house in Paris where I entertained the nobility. I was forever eating or traveling, or taking the cure out Baden-Baden. Now, I'm here to do honor to Spoon River, here beside the family whence I sprang. No one cares now where I dined, or traveled, or how often I took the cure at Baden-Baden.
Nothing in life is alien to you. I was a penniless girl from Suma who stepped from the morning train in Spoon River. All the houses stood before me with closed doors and drawn shades. I was barred out. I had no place or part in any of them. And I walked past the old McNeely mansion, a castle of stone mid walks and gardens, with workmen about the place on guard, and the county and state upholding it for its lordly owner, full of pride. I was so hungry I had a vision. I saw a giant pair of scissors dip from the sky like the beam of a dredge and cut the house in two like a curtain. But at the commercial, I saw a man wink at me as I asked for work. It was Wash McNeely's son. He proved the link, the chain of title to half my ownership of the mansion through a breach of promise. The scissors. So you see, the house, from the day I was born, was only waiting for me. Was only waiting for me.
Dust of my
dust with my dust. Child who died as you entered the world. Dead with my death. Not knowing breath, but you tried so hard. The hole in me, lifted me. It stopped. And you left me for life. It is well, my child. You will never have to travel the long, long way that begins with school days. And little fingers blur under the tears that fall on crooked letters. In the earliest wound, when a little babe leaves you alone for another. Pain. Face of fear by the bed. The death of a father or a mother. Or shame for them, or poverty. The maiden sorrow of school days ended. An eyeless nature that makes you drink from the cup of love, though you know it's poisoned. To whom would your flower face have been lifted? Honest weakling, cry of what led to yours. Pure or foul, for it makes no matter. It's blood that calls to our call. And your children, what might they be? And what your sorrow? Child, death is better than life.
We stand about this place, we the memories, and shade our eyes because we dread to read. June 17th, 1884, aged 21 years and 3 days. And all things are changed. And we the memories, stand here for ourselves alone, for no eye marks us, or we know why we are here. Your husband is dead. Your sister lives far away. Your father is bent with age. He has forgotten you. He scarcely leaves the house anymore. No one remembers your exquisite face, your lyric voice, how you sang on the morning you were stricken with piercing sweetness, with thrilling sorrow, before the advent of the child which died with you. It is all forgotten, save by us, the memories, who are forgotten by the world. All is changed save the river and the hill. Even they are changed. Only the burning sun and the quiet stars are the same. And we the memories, stand here in awe, our eyes closed with the weariness of tears.
Out of me, unworthy and unknown, the vibrations of deathless music, with malice toward none, with charity for all. Out of me, the forgiveness of millions toward millions, and the beneficent face of a nation shining with justice and truth. I am Anne Rutledge, who sleep beneath these weeds, beloved in life of Abraham Lincoln, wedded to him, not through union, but through separation. Bloom forever, O Republic, from the dust of my bosom.
Your red blossoms amid green leaves are drooping, beautiful geranium,
letter, asking him, for old time's sake, to release my sick boy from the army. But maybe he couldn't read it. So then, I went to town and had James Garber, who wrote beautifully, write him a letter. But maybe that got lost in the mails. So then, I traveled all the way to Washington and was more than an hour in finding the White House, and when I found it, they turned me away, hiding their smiles. Then I thought, oh well, he just ain't the same as when I boarded him. And he and my husband worked together, and we all called him Abe there in Menard. As a last attempt, I turned to the guard and said, please say it's old Aunt Hannah Armstrong from Illinois, come to see him about her sick boy in the army. Well, just in a moment they let me in, and when he saw me he broke in a laugh and dropped his business as president and wrote in his own hand Doug's discharge, talking the while of the early days and telling stories.
I went to the dances at Chanderville. We played Snap Out at Winchester. One time we changed partners, driving home in the moonlight of middle June. And then I found Davis. We were married and lived together for 70 years, enjoying, working, raising the 12 children, 8 of whom we lost ere I'd reached the age of 60. I spun, I wove, I nursed the sick, I kept the house, and for holiday rambled over the fields where sang the larks. And by Spoon River, gathering many a flower and medicinal weed, shouted to the wooded hills, singing to the green valleys. At 96, I had lived enough. That is all. We passed to a sweet repose. What is this I hear of sorrow and weariness? Anger, discontent, and drooping hopes? Degenerate sons and daughters. Life is too strong for you. It takes life to love life.
First, you will not know what they mean, and you may never know, and we may never tell you. These sudden flashes in your soul like lambent lightning on snowy clouds at midnight when the moon is full. They come in solitude, or perhaps you sit with your friend, and all at once a silence falls over speech, and his eyes, without a flicker, glow. You two have seen the secret together. He sees it in you, and you in him, and there you sit, thrilling, lest the mystery stand before you and strike you dead with a splendor like the sun's. Be brave, all souls who have such visions, for as your body's alive, as mine is dead, you are catching a little whiff of the ether, reserved for God himself.